What if your financial freedom was never really yours? What if every choice you've made, from your student loans to your mortgage, was quietly shaped by someone else's plan? In this video, we're diving deep into the conspiracy theories of 2025, not the tinfoil hat kind, but the quiet manipulations that might already be running your life and your money. Financial freedom. That phrase gets thrown around a lot these days, on TikTok and YouTube ads, plastered across Instagram reels. But what does it actually mean? To some, it means quitting your 9 to 5 and making passive income while you sleep. To others, it's about being debt-free, owning your home, and not living paycheck to paycheck. But let's be honest. In 2025, with inflation eating your paycheck, credit card interest rates climbing past 25%, and housing prices that feel like monopoly money, does financial freedom even feel real anymore? Or is it just a buzzword, a shiny dream dangled in front of us to keep us grinding harder while never really getting ahead? Let's pause here. What if the system was never designed for you to be free? What if inflation, debt traps, rising tuition, and the buy now, pay later culture weren't just unfortunate side effects, but part of a much older pattern, a pattern of control? We're not saying there's a guy behind the curtain pulling every string, but we are asking, are these obstacles, debt, confusion, financial stress, just the way it is? Or were they carefully placed? Chapter 1, The Illusion of Choice. Let's talk about choice, because we're told we have a lot of it. In America, the land of freedom and opportunity, we're taught that our financial life is the result of our decisions. You chose to go to college. You chose to take out that student loan. You chose to get that credit card. You chose to buy that home with a 30-year mortgage. You chose your financial path, so whatever comes, that's on you. But here's the question. Was it really a choice if all the options were designed to benefit someone else? The credit score game, who's it really for? Take credit scores, for example. We're told a high score gives us freedom. Lower interest rates, access, respect. It's treated like your adult report card proof that you're financially responsible. But have you ever stopped to ask who created the rules for this game and who wins when you play it? The FICO credit score system was created in 1989, not by the government, but by a private corporation. Its formula, completely secret. You get punished for paying off your debt too early. You get rewarded for carrying a small balance, meaning the system likes when you're in just enough debt, but not too much. Why? Because when you're in debt, you're predictable, and predictable people make banks money. Credit scores don't measure financial wisdom. They measure how well you perform inside a debt-based system. So, are they helping you grow or helping the system track who's best at playing the debtor's role? Student loans. An investment or a lifetime lease. Now let's talk about student loans, the golden promise of investing in your future. You were told that college was the way to success, and that the cost, worth it. But today, over 45 million Americans owe student debt, totaling more than $1.7 trillion. That's not a minor issue. That's a national economy-sized weight on the backs of young people who thought they were making a smart choice. And here's the kicker. Student loans are one of the only types of debt that you cannot get rid of even in bankruptcy. You can discharge gambling debt. You can get rid of medical bills, but not your student loan. Why? Because in 2005, under pressure from banks and loan servicers, Congress passed laws tightening bankruptcy protections. This wasn't an accident. It was designed. These loans are government-backed. They make money whether you pay or not. If you default, they garnish your wages. If you die, in some cases, they come for your estate. Let that sink in, a system that profits when you struggle and lingers even after you're gone. Mortgages, owning a home or owing a life. Then there's the American dream, home ownership. You're told buying a house is the smart adult move. But what they don't say out loud is that most people never really own their home, the bank does. A 30-year mortgage is basically a lease disguised as ownership. You pay 3x the value of the home over time if you include interest. Miss a few payments? You lose everything, no matter how many years you've been paying. And here's the twist. Banks don't mind if you take 30 years. In fact, they prefer it. Why? Because they collect interest for decades. If everyone paid off their mortgage in 10 years, banks would lose billions. So instead of rewarding early payment, many banks have penalties for it. Think about that. You're punished for getting out of debt too fast. If the system truly wanted you to be free, why would it penalize your escape? The minimum payment trap, a brilliant trick. Let's not forget credit cards and the infamous minimum payment system. On the surface, it feels helpful. You don't have to pay the full balance. just a small part to stay in good standing. But here's the truth. If you make only the minimum payment on a $5,000 credit card balance with a 20% interest rate, it could take over 20 years to pay it off. And you'll end up paying more than double the original amount in interest. Banks know this, and that's why they lobby lawmakers to keep the system exactly as it is. In 2009, the Credit Card Act was passed to require banks to show how long it would take to pay off your balance making only minimum payments. Sounds like a good move, right? But banks didn't oppose it much, because it didn't stop them from offering minimum payment plans. It just meant they had to include fine print that most people ignore anyway. The illusion of choice is powerful. You think you're managing your finances, but really, you're being nudged quietly, invisibly toward decisions that keep the system profitable. It's not a broken system, it's a profitable one. So here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't a broken system. It's a functioning one, just not for you. It works beautifully for the people who designed it. Banks win when you stay in debt, but not too deep. Credit agencies win when you keep borrowing, just enough to look healthy. The government wins when you owe student debt, because they collect one way or another. And you think you're making choices, but you're mostly reacting to traps you didn't see being set. So what can you do? The first step is seeing it clearly. Because once you recognize the illusion, you stop blaming yourself and start asking better questions. Who benefits from my financial stress? Why am I being encouraged to buy now, pay later? What does freedom look like outside of this system? You may not be able to burn the system down, but you can stop feeding it your blind trust. And that's where real financial freedom begins. Chapter 2. Who benefits from financial confusion? They say knowledge is power. But what happens when that knowledge is deliberately kept out of your reach? What happens when the rules of the game are hidden? The scoreboard is rigged, and you're being told you're just bad with money when, in fact, the entire system is built to confuse you. In this chapter, we're pulling back the curtain on who profits when you're financially lost. Because it's not random. It's not just bad luck. There are entire industries built around your confusion, and the more confused you are, the more predictable and profitable you become. Confusion is not an accident. It's a business model. Let's start with a fact that's uncomfortable but important. The modern financial system runs better when you don't fully understand how it works. If you knew how compound interest truly impacted your credit card debt, you'd never carry a balance. If you saw the actual long-term cost of that 5-year car loan, you'd think twice before trading up. If you understood how inflation and money printing eroded your savings, you wouldn't keep your emergency fund in a standard savings account paying 0.01% APY. But you're not supposed to know these things, because the system wasn't built to educate you. It was built to extract from you gently, invisibly, and consistently. Confused consumers are easy to market to. Confused borrowers are easier to trap. Confused voters won't ask too many questions. And that makes you the perfect product. Big banks, profiting from your overdrafts, confusion, and fear. Let's talk about the banks. In 2023 alone, American banks made over $11.5 billion in overdraft fees. Fees charged when you spend slightly more than you have. Now think about this. The technology exists to decline your transaction in real time to protect you. But most banks intentionally allow your purchase to go through so they can slap you with a $35 fee for a $4 coffee. Why? Because overdrafts aren't accidents to them, they're revenue streams. If you don't fully understand how your account balances work, if you assume there's a cushion when there isn't, then the bank makes money. It's not in their interest to simplify things. It's in their interest to make the system just complex enough to confuse the average person, but not too complex to get caught. Investment apps. Gamification equals manipulation. Now let's move into the tech world. Your phone, your money apps, your easy investing platforms. Apps like Robinhood turned investing into a game. Flashy graphics, confetti animations when you buy a stock, swipe to invest features. It feels empowering, like you're finally taking control of your future. But here's the dark twist. Gamification of finance is a deliberate tactic designed to make you act impulsively rather than think long-term. Robinhood has been fined for misleading customers, system outages, and encouraging excessive trading. Because the more you trade, the more money they make, even if you lose. Your confusion feeds their bottom line. They benefit when you don't understand terms like bid-ask spread market order versus limit order capital gains tax volatility versus risk. Because then you're just clicking buttons based on vibes, and those clicks equals dollars for them. Social media influencers, financial advice, or paid manipulation. Scroll through TikTok or Instagram, and you'll find a flood of finance influencers telling you, "Here's how I made $30,000 in 1 month with this credit card hack. Here's the #1 stock you need to buy before next Friday. Passive income secrets the banks don't want you to know." Sounds exciting, right? But what you often don't see are the undisclosed sponsorships, trading platforms paying creators to pump volatile assets, credit card companies sponsoring videos that push balance transfers or reward spending, real estate gurus selling overpriced mentorships on dreams they never lived. Financial confusion is their hook. They don't need you to win. They just need you to click, buy, enroll, invest, repeat. When advice becomes content and content becomes commerce, you are no longer the audience. You are the product, the government, a stake in your debt. You might think the government would want its citizens to be financially literate and free. But look closer. The federal government profits from student loan interest. The IRS penalizes early 401k withdrawals, but offers complex tax shelters that only the wealthy can navigate. The tax code is over 70,000 pages long. Why? Because complexity keeps you dependent on professionals, on CPAs, on TurboTax, on specialists. It also makes tax loopholes easier to hide for those who can afford the right lawyer. When things are confusing, the rich hire help. The poor pay fines. And once again, confusion becomes a form of control. The more confused you are, the easier you are to predict. Let's take a step back. Why would companies, banks, and governments want financial confusion? Because it creates patterns. When people are overwhelmed, they default to spending more than they earn, carrying debt, avoiding long-term planning, consuming impulsively. This makes your behavior trackable, profitable, and controllable. You're no longer a person with free will. You're a data point in someone else's forecast. If you don't understand the system, you don't question it. And if you don't question it, it runs smoothly for them. Clarity equals freedom. Now here's the good news. Confusion can be reversed, but not with hacks, gimmicks, or viral trends. It takes education, patience, and questioning the narratives you've been fed. Why do I feel dumb about money? Who taught me what success looks like? Am I chasing dreams that were sold to me by people who profit from my chase? Because once you start asking these questions, the system starts to lose control. You don't need to be a millionaire to be free. You just need to see clearly enough to stop being manipulated. Coming up next. In the next chapter, we'll expose how misinformation has been weaponized through social media, finance influencers, and even AI-generated advice to keep your wallet open and your mind confused. Because in 2025, the war isn't just for your attention. It's for your beliefs. And your beliefs control your money. Chapter 3. Weaponized misinformation. In the age of information, ignorance is no longer an accident. It's a business strategy. In 2025, we live in the most connected era in human history. You can Google anything. You can watch a video that explains compound interest in under 30 seconds. You can download an app that invests for you while you sleep. And yet more people than ever feel lost about how money actually works. Why? Because information has never just been about what you're told. It's also about who's telling it, why they're telling it, and what they're not telling you. This is not just a content overload. This is weaponized misinformation, a deliberate flood of half-truths, viral hacks, and algorithmic distractions that keep you spinning your wheels while others profit from your confusion. Let's break this down. The misinformation machine. Who's behind it? You open YouTube and see two videos: how to get rich with this one stock before Friday, the truth about index funds and long-term investing. Which one do you click? Be honest. One promises speed, the other promises discipline. One plays on emotion, the other requires patience. Guess which one the algorithm rewards? The first one, every time. That's not by accident. Social media platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, optimize for engagement, not truth. So creators who use bold claims, dramatic tones, and emotional bait get pushed to the top, even if their advice is objectively dangerous. Think about this. In 2023, the FTC reported a 1,000% increase in scams tied to financial influencers. People following fake crypto advice, NFT hype, and shady side hustle secrets lost over $1.2 billion, and that's just the reported losses. But why would platforms allow this? Because controversial content equals clicks, and clicks equals data, and your data is worth more than your trust. So they keep you scrolling, second-guessing, buying into secrets that aren't real, and ignoring the boring, proven, practical truths about money. Finance talk. Quick hits, long-term damage. Let's talk about TikTok finance or finance talk. You've seen it. Here's how to pay off $100,000 debt in 6 months. 3 credit cards you need to get now. I made $500 a day with this side hustle, no skills needed. Here's the dirty secret. Most of those creators don't actually do what they say. Some are actors. Some are affiliate marketers paid to push specific financial products. Some are just repeating what they heard without understanding the consequences. And worst of all, TikTok doesn't care if it's true. They only care if it gets watched. The app's format, short, fast, addictive, trains your brain to crave certainty in 30 seconds. But real financial understanding? It takes time, context, depth. That's why this misinformation is so effective, because it feels like learning, but it's really just consumption. You think you're getting smarter, but what you're actually getting is overconfident and underinformed, and that's exactly how the system likes you. Manufactured trends, manufactured behavior. Ever wonder why suddenly everyone is talking about a specific side hustle? Or why a new money hack explodes across every platform overnight? It's not always organic. Many trends are seeded by marketing firms, influencers with backdoor sponsorships, or companies trying to manipulate consumer behavior. A new budgeting trend? It's promoting an app behind the scenes. A viral money-saving challenge? It's a brand trying to drive engagement before a product launch. A wave of panic about a financial collapse coming next week. It's clickbait for a newsletter that sells gold bars or survival gear. In short, your financial fear is someone else's monetization strategy. Deepfakes and AI, the new frontier of deception. It gets even scarier. With AI-generated voices and deepfake technology, we're entering an era where even trusted financial experts can be faked. Imagine seeing a video of Warren Buffett recommending a crypto coin. His voice, his face, his tone completely fabricated, but indistinguishable from the real thing. This isn't sci-fi. This is already happening. In 2024, dozens of people were scammed into investing in fake DeFi platforms endorsed by deep-faked celebrities, including Elon Musk and Kevin O'Leary. Losses, over $9 million in just 3 months. In the wrong hands, AI doesn't democratize information. It weaponizes trust. The solution: digital literacy equals financial armor. So what can you do? Because unplugging isn't realistic. You can't just go live in a cabin and ignore the digital world. But you can develop what we call digital financial literacy, a kind of mental armor that helps you see through the noise. Here's what it looks like. Skepticism over excitement. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is. Check the source. Who's giving this advice? Are they selling something? Are they licensed? Don't act on emotion. Take a beat. Do your own research. Watch content that challenges your bias, not just confirms it. Look for incentives. Ask, who benefits if I believe this? Because once you start asking that question, everything changes. Final thought. In confusion, they control. In clarity, you choose. Let's be clear, misinformation doesn't just hurt you financially. It robs you of your ability to think clearly, plan wisely, and act freely. It turns financial freedom into a moving target, always just out of reach. But when you stop scrolling and start studying, when you stop reacting and start reflecting, when you stop chasing shortcuts and start building foundations, that's when you take back control, not just of your money, but of your mind. And in today's world, that might be the greatest form of freedom there is. Chapter 4. Protecting your financial freedom. If you don't build your own plan, someone else will profit from your confusion. After everything we've unpacked so far, from illusion of choice to manufactured confusion to weaponized misinformation, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. You might be thinking, okay, the system's rigged, everyone's lying, what now? That's the right question. Because awareness is only the first step. Now it's time to talk resilience. Not escape, not cynicism, not revolution. Just simple, quiet, personal resistance through clarity, ownership, and grounded action. This chapter isn't about exposing anyone else. It's about arming you so that no matter what's trending on TikTok, no matter what the banks want, no matter how many gurus go viral, you stay focused. You stay free. Build mental firewalls, not just emergency funds. Before we talk about money, let's talk about your mindset. Because if you don't protect your thinking, you'll never protect your finances. Start with this. Assume that everything in your feed is selling something. And then ask, who gains if I act on this information? Am I being educated or emotionally manipulated? Is this advice backed by real long-term data, or just a personal anecdote dressed up as truth? Most financial traps today don't look like traps. They look like lifestyle goals, shortcut hacks, or opportunities. So the real defense isn't more budgeting apps, it's critical thinking. If you can pause before clicking, pause before buying, pause before following, you're already ahead of 80% of the internet. Follow principles, not personalities. Influencers rise and fall, markets shift, trends change, but timeless financial principles, they outlive the noise. Here are a few worth anchoring yourself to, no matter what year it is. Spend less than you earn. Not sexy, not shareable, but undefeated. Avoid debt that doesn't build value. Borrowing to invest in a business or a skill equals growth. Borrowing for lifestyle inflation, slavery. You picked up that an emergency fund isn't extra money. It's the only thing standing between you and financial panic. Invest in what you understand. If you can't explain it to a 12-year-old, don't put your future in it. Boring. Wealth is built in the background, not on the explore page. Automate freedom, not friction. Confusion thrives in chaos, so simplify where you can. Automatic transfers into savings or investments remove emotional decision-making. Fixed budgets for needs versus wants reduce mental fatigue. Monthly review rituals keep you accountable without shame. Here's the truth. Financial freedom isn't about having millions. It's about having control over your time, your choices, and your direction. You don't need to check your stocks every day. You don't need to optimize every coupon. You just need to consistently choose clarity over chaos. Learn from quiet teachers. Not every mentor has a podcast. Not every truth comes with a viral thumbnail. Some of the best financial wisdom comes from a grandparent who paid cash for everything, a neighbor who retired early because they lived simply, a blue-collar worker who never made six figures but never owed anyone a dime. Don't confuse loud with wise. Most truly free people don't flex. They build, save, and live well, quietly. Protect your time like you protect your wallet. You want real financial freedom? Start by defending the one asset you can't earn more of, your attention. Limit your time on apps that encourage comparison. Cut out noise from sources that create more anxiety than clarity. Spend time offline thinking through your own goals, values, and limits. Because the truth is, if someone can control your screen time, they can shape your dream life. And if they can shape your dream, they can sell you anything to chase it. The most financially dangerous phrase in 2025, I saw it on TikTok. Ask better questions. Financial freedom isn't found by copying other people's answers, it's found by asking deeper questions. What does enough look like for me? Am I chasing status or security? If money wasn't a factor, how would I spend my time? Who taught me my beliefs about wealth, and do they still serve me? The more personal your questions, the more powerful your path. Repetition builds liberation. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be repetitive. Budget badly this month? Start again next month. Overspent on a side hustle course? Learn and move on. Let fear drive a dumb financial decision. Forgive yourself and refocus. Because in a world that profits from your distraction, showing up again and again with intention is a form of rebellion. You're not trying to beat the system. You're trying to opt out of its traps, one small decision at a time. Let's leave with this. True financial freedom isn't just about money. It's about agency, the ability to choose your life without fear, without pressure, and without being sold someone else's version of success. You don't need a fancy degree. You don't need a YouTube channel. Chapter 5. What real freedom looks like and why the system fears it. You were never meant to escape the maze. But what if you stopped playing? By now, we've exposed a lot. The illusion of choice, the profit of confusion, the rise of misinformation, and the small, powerful ways you can protect your financial sanity. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, and it's the most dangerous one. Not dangerous for you, dangerous to the system. And it's this. What happens when someone actually becomes free? Not rich, not famous, not influential. We're talking quietly, intentionally, unshakably free. Because once you reach that place, you stop buying what they sell. You stop fearing what they threaten. You stop chasing what they dangle in front of you. And for the system, that's a problem. Real freedom is boring, and that's why it's feared. Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Real freedom isn't flashy. It's not exciting. It doesn't go viral. It looks like a paid-off car that still runs, a modest home you can actually afford, a savings account that grows quietly, a job that lets you sleep at night, even if it doesn't impress anyone. It's unmarketable. There's no big reveal, no before and after transformation, no shiny story to flex online. And because it doesn't feed the machine, it gets ignored, even discouraged. Instead, you're pushed toward aspirational lifestyles you can't afford. Good debt, disguised as opportunity. Comparison, disguised as motivation. Because if you're content with enough, you stop spending from fear, envy, and status. And for the economy, that's the real rebellion. The system needs you to keep wanting. Capitalism at its best rewards innovation and hard work. But at its worst, it turns you into a hungry consumer who never feels full. Your feeds are designed to keep you chasing. The upgrade, the glow-up, the breakthrough, the better version of yourself that just needs one more purchase to arrive. But real freedom says, I'm already enough. That's dangerous, because if you stop consuming, you start reflecting. And when you reflect, you question. And when you question, you opt out. Opting out is a quiet revolution. You don't need to burn the system down. You don't need to scream at Wall Street. You just need to do things like Cook your own meals. Cancel subscriptions you forgot about. Say no to a promotion that steals your time. Keep your phone off for a day. These are small things, but small things done consistently create separation. And the system hates separation, because separation leads to sovereignty. And sovereignty, that can't be taxed, tracked, or manipulated. You were raised to participate, not question. Raised to comply, not discern. Raised to consume, not create. So when you stop playing the game, they can't sell you another illusion. The free person thinks differently. Here's how real freedom rewires your mind. The system says, the free person thinks, buy now, pay later. If I can't afford it now, I don't need it. Success is the grind. Peace is the goal. Trust the experts. I'll learn it myself. Status matters. Character matters. Get rich fast. Get stable, slow. These aren't just financial beliefs. They're philosophical values. And when those values shift, your life begins to exit the loop. What real freedom actually feels like. Let's go deeper. You'll know you're becoming free when you feel boredom without needing to fill it with buying something. You're comfortable being unseen and uncelebrated. You look at your calendar and think, this feels like my life, not someone else's. You no longer panic over money because you understand your money. You're not emotionally attached to every market swing or headline. This is not what the world markets as freedom, but it's what actual peace feels like. And peace is not profitable to those selling noise. The exit isn't a door, it's a direction. There's no final destination, no flag that says, you made it, you're financially free. Freedom is a direction you face every day. Every small, intentional choice moves you closer. And guess what? You'll mess up. You'll overspend. You'll get distracted. You'll get pulled back in. But you'll remember. You'll remember that freedom doesn't feel like excitement. It feels like agency, the ability to stop, the ability to choose, the ability to say, that may be for others, but not for me. Chapter 30, Final Message. The system fears clarity. At the end of the day, it's not your money the system fears most. It's your clarity. Because a person with clarity can't be sold fake dreams, won't chase empty goals, doesn't buy things to impress people they don't respect. A person with clarity stops playing by someone else's rules and quietly writes their own. That's the kind of freedom no credit score can measure. No algorithm can predict. No influencer can replicate. It's yours, and it's waiting. Start walking toward it, quietly, steadily, every day. And don't look back. You've seen the maze. You've seen who built it. You've seen how they keep you running inside it with credit, with fear, with noise. But now you know. The exit was never locked. It was just hidden behind comfort, speed, and confusion. So what do you do now? You don't need to burn your wallet, sell everything, or move off grid. You just need to start doing the opposite of what the system expects. Think slowly in a world of urgency. Choose clarity over chaos. Live simply in a culture of excess. Because the greatest act of rebellion in 2025 is a human being who understands money, controls their time, and doesn't live in fear. If this video made you pause, made you think, made you see, hit the like button. Not for the algorithm, but because more people need to hear this before they sign that next loan or chase that next shortcut. Drop a comment below with just 3 words. I choose clarity. Let the world know you're not here to play someone else's game anymore. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to go deeper. This isn't a one-time talk. It's a lifelong conversation about money, power, and how to stay awake while the world tries to lull you back to sleep. This is the Budget Boss Us, where we don't just talk about money, we talk about why they never wanted you to understand it. See you in the next episode. And until then, protect your time, guard your mind, and build a freedom no one can take.